But the reality is he's coming with another one, right? So if my angling is off, all those kind of things, right? It's going to change things, right? So what I really want to create when I move this and I'm lining things up with his eyes or whatever is I want to create a whoa. Better at things, because what we're really looking at here in the bunkai realm, right? Bunkai and Oyo, again, they go together, but in the bunkai realm, right, what we're really exploring, right, and trying to analyze and figure out with this disassembly is the why, right? What's the purpose behind a given move? What are we doing to him to control the fight, give ourselves the greatest advantage, and take advantage away from him? What does the move do? What blocks the punch? Okay, yeah, but how many different ways do we have to block a punch, right? What is this one doing? How does this one make the next move in the kata easier, right? How does it set it up? Those kind of things, right? A lot of my students call me the strategy and tactics guy because this is what I focus on, right? You can do techniques, you can do the physical things tens of thousands of different ways, right? How many different ways can you move your body or deal or do things to his body and whatnot, right? But it's the why, okay? It's the why, right? In Oyo, right, it's the practical application, right? When, where, for how long, that kind of thing. So we're going to take a look at 4 aspects of the Oyo here shortly, right? But what I want to do is really focus on this whole breaking it down, right? The why, right? So, you know, we understand, I go to Kamae, right? And so if I just look at that first piece, right, for the beginner, it's I'm avoiding the punch and making it more difficult for him to come in on the next one. Great, right? But for the intermediate advanced student, right, there's more than just that one thing. I'm lining up so that, you know, this guy's come flying in, right? He's not just throwing a punch, right? In the kata, it says uke tsuki, right? So he's throwing this one punch. Okay, great. That's it. Okay. I know the ideal is, well, that's all we're giving him. But the reality is he's coming with another one, right? So if my angling is off, all those kind of things, right? It's going to change things, right? So what I really want to create when I move this and I'm lining things up with his eyes or whatever is I want to create a whoa, right? That breaks his form, right? It's the one of the primary kata or kamae for hanbo training, right? Kata yaburi, right? Just standing with the stick in front of you this way, right? Kata yaburi. It looks like shizen, but it's really a hira, right? So we're standing this way, kata yaburi. Kata yaburi means form breaking, okay? It's an important aspect. It's an important concept in our training, right? So how are we breaking his form, right? How are we breaking his body, mind, spirit, all that kind of stuff. So it makes it more difficult for him to get at us, okay? All right, so it's the why, right? So we can start to break things apart. And again, we're going to go into it much more deeply on Friday because again, this is the kuden side of things, right? This is the knowledge side, right? Right. If you need to go back to our very first Whiteboard Wednesday, I broke things down and explained it. I even pulled a mandala off the wall. As a matter of fact, it was that one, right? Pulled it off the wall so that we could take a look at these 3 sides or 3 aspects to mastery and how they go together, right? And how Whiteboard Wednesday kind of approaches this, right? Okay. I know people often sign on because they want to see the trained monkey, right? Doing some cool stuff that they're not going to practice anyway, but here we are, okay? Okay, so practical, or we're always looking for practical application, right? So let's do a little crossover kind of thing here before I move to these 4 aspects that I want to cover right here, okay? So with bunkai, when we're disassembling things, right? Again, the question is why, right? But what we want to do is we have to ask, what could this be used for? Okay, so let's say instead of Seigan, right, we're stepping back into this Doko no Kamae, right? For most people, this is a striking thing, or we move into Hoko or whatever, right? It's a striking thing, but if we ask the question, it's the important question for all these is, in what situations or under what conditions would this be a really good option? Okay, so let's say that he reached out and grabbed my lapel or grabbed my sleeve, right? And I shifted through, and this was the way that I did uke nagash, right? Or he's reaching in to grab, and I shift to catch and carry that, right? So it's kind of a way to come up from center and out and control what's going on in the center, right? Or this hoko no kamae, right? People, they've learned it this way, they've learned it this way, they've learned it this way. There are these different forms to it, right? But why? Like with Doko, right? We tend to teach people Doko here as a start because it keeps the fist in the fight. It keeps it in the realm of the fight, right? But there's a form of Doko this way. There's a form of Doko this way, right? Okay. Often what people say is, well, any of those will work. Any of those are fine, right? Just Sensei demonstrated all these things, so you could do it any way you want. You can do it any way you want. But why would you do any one of those in a given situation? Hopefully because it serves you and it takes something away from him. Always, okay? Serves you, makes your job easier, and takes something away from him, okay? This hoko, right? So we've got hoko. This form of hoko is also called hoi no kamae, right? There's this modified version if he has an edged weapon, right? So I don't want my life-sustaining tubes pointing at that edged weapon, so I'm going to turn my hand this way so the armor, even if I don't have armor on, right? Yes, I'm going to get cut, but I'm not going to bleed to death if he cuts along here, right? Okay? Or we've got this, right? Designed to make a smaller person look bigger, right? To the subconscious lower functions of the mammalian and reptilian brain, right? So, but why each one? Okay, maybe I'm picking one because there's onlookers, and I need to control their perceptions. See, not all this is physical and dealing with him. Maybe I need to control their perceptions, right? So if I take up this position or I take up this position, right? To them, see, two guys fighting, right? But if I take up this position, hey, stay away from me, right? See, that affects things in a very, very different way, okay? So the why, the when, right? Not necessarily the how, right? We've learned the how, okay? This is about learning from the kata after we've learned the kata, okay? This is about taking things off the page, taking things off the set form, right? And truly looking at it as an example, okay? Crossing over to practical application, right? We've got 4 considerations. And again, we've talked about these in the past, right? But again, we want to make sure that we're looking at things correctly, okay? So under bunkai, well, let's do this, right? I know I keep crossing back and forth because these things are so related, right? So under bunkai, right? So the base model, right? We've taken it apart, right? And we've got this straight punch. He's throwing a straight punch. All right? Ski, right? Ski, okay? He's throwing a straight punch. Great. Kata looks pretty cut and dry. He throws a straight punch. I move off to this naname, this angle. I do X, Y, Z. Great. Fantastic. Okay? What if he throws a hook punch? Okay? What if he throws a wide flailing hook punch? What if he throws a narrow hook punch? Right? Kind of a choked up punch, right? So this is a very different punch than this kind of a punch, right? Look at you. This is a different punch and creates a different kind of kukan and spacing and all that kind of stuff, right? This one from this one. Both still going to come in at an off angle, okay? So the idea in a lot of these martial arts that use this, right? The bunkai deepens your understanding of the lessons in the kata and makes things better, okay? So we're no longer just stepping off at a 30 to 45 degree angle. We truly are forced to look at what the real lesson is. And the real lesson is that I am angled to the line of the attack, but profiled to the attacker, right? Or in a position where I'm covered and he can't get at me and things like that, right? Okay. What if it's a kick? What if it's not just a kick, right? This is a lifting or straight kick, right? What if it's a hook kick, right? What if it's a roundhouse? What if it's an axe kick? What if it's a back kick? What if it, right? The shape of the leg is going to be different as it extends toward me. The toes and the level and the angle of the foot are going to be in certain places. There are going to be certain targets that are accessible based on the kamae I started in or the kamae I moved to, right? Okay. But you get the idea, right? What if he has a knife? What type of knife? That kind of thing. What kind of an environment am I in? Right? Am I between the proverbial two-part cars? Am I in a restaurant? And am I in a my wife and I travel a lot, right? So are we in a roadside rest stop in the lavatory going into or coming out of a stall, right? Or I'm a guy, right? So there's a urinal in front of me and I'm standing a certain way, okay? What are the conditions, okay? Environmental, clothing, all of those kind of things, right? We have street clothes days here at the dojo. It's 2 days out of every month is designated street clothes days. People come in and they're wearing whatever they would wear at school, at work, around the house, whatever, okay? The rule is don't pick and choose for comfort and ease of movement in the dojo. Dress the way you would normally dress under normal day-to-day, your life situations. Don't pick and choose just because you're going to martial arts class, okay? Pick and choose based on how you might be dressed in a given scenario, in a given situation, should something happen. Okay, shoes, whole deal. Okay, so by breaking this apart and by starting to look at situational self-defense, right? Where might I be? Okay, so that naturally this is now pointing at practical application. Oyo,